Hey, I'm Harry Mays, and we're in the time period of second interviews and guys withdrawing their names from consideration. And the fan base is going crazy on social media saying, well, they never offered it to this guy, and this guy didn't receive it. They don't really want that guy. Well, I don't know about you, but I don't think there's any other way as we approach February, unless the Eagles hire a candidate that's playing in the Super Bowl next week, that this is really the desired place to be as an offensive coordinator.
I'm Jason Martinez. You're next, Louie. Go ahead. Who's next?
I can do it. I can do it. My thing is that Nick Sirianni needs to call plays. That's the best thing that can happen to the Eagles in 2026.
I'm Jason Martinez, and I'm amazed how much brevity Louie used compared to Harry. But I know who I want. I messed it up.
Yeah. Yep. You did.
Give Bob Cooter. Hey, give Bob Cooter going to be the next offensive coordinator of Philadelphia Eagles.
There we go. Thank you, Carrot Top. All right. Why Nick Sirianni calling plays would be the dumbest thing in the history of humanity. All that and more on this edition of Off the Rails, Locked On Eagles Squad Show.
Fly, Eagles, fly. It's the Eagles Squad. Everything Philadelphia Eagles every week. Covering all the big hits and game-changing plays from the city of brotherly love. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Get ready and squad up. It's the Eagles Squad Show starting now.
Jesus, is Harry's teaser over yet?
Yeah, no, that'll be the show. That's the show, everyone. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching.
Well, 4 minutes. You can podcast.
I'm in the content business, Jason.
Long form.
It's the off season.
There you go. Hey, this Locked On Eagle Squad show, by the way, brought to you by Crossover Thursdays and Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app today and use promo code Locked On NFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Let's just get to this real quick because, Louie, you like it. I hate it.
Yeah.
I think the cards are on the table. Nick Sirianni can't call the offense. I know Adam Schefter was on NFL Live, and he's like, well, the Eagles can take their time because if they don't find a guy they like, they can just have Nick Sirianni call the offense. No! I forbid it. And any power that I have, I forbid it. Now, why do you like this idea, Louie?
Yeah.
Tell me this. What's going on here?
Because it's time to sink or swim. It's time to figure out long-term if Nick Sirianni can be the play caller. And if not, I don't care about all the strengths he has as a head coach. I can't do this every other year thing. And as long as Sirianni's not the play caller and as long as Jalen Hurts doesn't grow as a result, this is the reality you're going to get. And you look at the reality of this offensive coordinator search, it's not sustainable that every other year even you're going to find that Kellen Moore level OC. This year they're striking out, it feels like. And I think a lot of that is because of the reality of what they have set up with their coach and their quarterback. So I'm not disagreeing with you that I think Sirianni's going to come in and nail it and be Andy Reid level play caller this year. But he's called plays in 7 games in 5 years. He only did it for the 2-5 start of 2021, and we've never seen it again. Do I believe he'll be a great play caller? Probably not, but I just feel like we got to find out, because if not, then I would like to move on. But that's where my head's going with that.
All right, here's what I got to say about that. No, thank you. The votes are in. The evidence is there. The jury has come back guilty of being terrible at calling plays. I don't want to find we already found out he can't do it. You could go back to when he originally took over as head coach and play caller, fired himself essentially, demoted himself essentially, and said, Shane Steichen, take it away. This year was the most damning year, even more so than when he fired himself from the involvement that he has in the offensive side of things for the Philadelphia Eagles. And the perfect example of this is before they were going into the Chargers game, they had that other mini bye week. He supposedly took a bigger role in the offense. He was actually presenting alongside Kevin Patullo during offensive meetings, and the offense didn't get better. They played the Raiders. Congratulations. You put up 31 points. Wonderful job. You went and you played the Commanders. You put up, 28 points in that game, 29 points. Good job. Good hustle to you. But when the season was on the line, Louie, when the season was on the line, 43 seconds to go in the playoffs, against a banged-up 49ers team, against a defense that had Eric Kendricks, fresh off the scrap heap to play. 43 seconds. They're in that sideline meeting. Kevin Patullo's doing the talking. Jalen Hurts has maybe suggested something. And Nick Sirianni is there, dumbfounded, saying nothing. That, to me, is the smoking gun of why he should have nothing to do with play calling ever again with the Philadelphia. So, hey, look, I hear what you're saying, sink or swim, fine. Talk about sustainability, fine. I hear from Adam Schefter talk about it, how it's like, oh, you can just call the plays if you can't find a guy you like. No, we can't.
That's the dumbest thing ever, by the way.
That's
terrible.
carrying water.
Yeah.
I feel like
if they do that
crazy
now, I think that's just them waving the white flag that they couldn't find anybody they want. So that, as a result of what happened with this search, is a disaster. I'm just thinking about it in a vacuum of, I don't disagree with you, Mark. I think this year Sirianni had more influence than any season since 2021 on the offense, but he still was not calling the plays. He still has not called plays in 4.5 seasons. And for me,
called a defense once, I think.
I think he was lying about that. But I would just like a clear and concise answer for me, and then we can move on, because I don't know. I personally, I like going to the Super Bowl every other year, but I don't think that's going to happen as long as Howie Roseman's roster, it's not always going to be this amazing. And so I just don't always believe Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts are going to be able to win games this consistently if the roster does change in the second half of their careers here. So I almost think it's a good idea just so we can have no excuses. Because right now you could say everything Mark said is correct, but I could also say, well, he called 7 games in 2021 as an overwhelmed first-time head coach. He had no weapons. He was working with Jalen Reagor, a first-time starter in Jalen Hurts, and Quez Watkins. I'd like to see what he has now 6 years later. And I doubt it as well. I'm on Team Mark here when it comes to I don't believe Sirianni is a good play caller.
You are not on Team Mark.
But I just want to have that black and white answer.
After
Here's the
tryouts,
deal.
you've been cut. You've been cut from Team Mark.
Because I'm just sick of these searches every other year, though. And this is not, I don't think this is sustainable.
See, Louie's the guy who watches the car race to watch the crash. That's what he's into.
I'm still holding out hope that Sirianni gets whacked and they hire Kubiak from Seattle.
Yeah. Maybe that's what Schefter meant the other day when he said something big's coming. That doesn't have to do with the OC spot.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Louie's younger than us, than Mark, myself, and Harry. I mean, Harry's
everybody's younger than me.
Yeah.
Did I give that away last show when I said the good old days talking about 2011?
Yeah. Like Harry and I have like one foot in the coffin, the other one's on a banana peel.
Oh,
we don't have
speak
time
for yourself, Chief.
Yeah, well, you're right. We don't have time to let a year burn when you think you may have a roster that can do something and win. We had so many years where you didn't have that roster and we longed for it. And, it's interesting to me that he never went back to calling plays after that first 7 games. Like why he never said, I can take this on now. I'm not as overwhelmed as a coach.
Might be all the proof you need. Yeah.
Is that a self-admission? I don't know.
If this season wasn't motivation enough for him to you start doing it again, I don't know if they ever
because he's watching it and hearing it that the guy they have doing it sucks and he doesn't throw it in there to fix it himself.
Yeah.
That's a pretty big kind of self-admission or lack of confidence in your ability to do it better when the guy is doing it is horrible. So, I don't know whether they're going to end up here. I don't want him to do it other than, I've almost, this is so weird to say because this time last year they were headed to a Super Bowl and won it. But I've had my fill of this guy. I've just enough of the antics and the pandering and it just doesn't feel authentic to me. It makes me wonder how the players love playing for him. I'm not in that room, so I don't know. But, I've just kind of had enough. And the only upside to him doing it to me is his exit would be imminent, in my opinion. But I don't know. I don't know where this goes. It's a horrible optic look for the Eagles.
But then you'd have another wasted year. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
If it
Do I have
doesn't
years to waste, Harry?
If it doesn't work. Right.
I will give Sirianni some credit for something that he never gets credit for in 2024. That first 4-game stretch when they went 2-2, that was what a Kellen Moore offense normally looks like. It was very pass-heavy and reliant on Jalen Hurts, and it only got better when it kind of became more of a Sirianni Hurts offense. So again, I'm not saying that
Or a Saquon
he's going to
offense.
nail
Yeah,
it this
yeah.
year as a play caller if that happened. And he had Saquon.
Well, that was
Barkley,
the
but-
offensive line had a lot to do with that, didn't they? Plead that let's
course.
Run the ball.
go behind us and our strength.
I saw a stat the other day that
Lane
in this-
Johnson.
I think we've all known this about the instability of having a play caller as your OC and having that happen every single year. But then I saw an actual stat to back up why I want a head coach as the play caller. The longest tenured play calling offensive coordinator is from 2025. Like, I mean, it's just, this is always going to happen. This is the reality of football. So I'm not disagreeing with what you guys are talking about with Sirianni's ability in a vacuum, but I don't know. I just think it's time. I think we got to get back to that structure with this organization. I think that's what Jeffrey Lurie's always wanted anyway.
And with all this focus on offense in the league, and I get it, we have 2 defensive coaches in the Super Bowl this year. So go figure, right?
Fair point.
Well, we're seeing the shift, Harry. We talked about it during the season. We're seeing the shift of, don't make mistakes offensively and grind it defensively to win. Like, we're seeing that.
Yeah. But great idea by Shefty, though. The more I think about it, it's brilliant. Boy, if you can't find anybody good to do it, just give it to the head coach.
The nonchalantness of how he said it is what bothered me. As if like Nick has done it well before. It's like, no big deal.
Right.
As if Kevin Petullo wasn't the biggest deal for the last 12 months.
Well, I can't wait for the next stage of this is where Shefty and Ian Rappaport and Howie and Jeffrey Lurie all try to sell us that this was the plan all along.
Right. Yeah. They got the guy. They got the guy they wanted.
Yeah, we ended up with the guy we wanted.
Yeah.
We looked.
But maybe
around
this
to get
search like
intel.
makes Lurie and Howie kind of open their eyes, like, oh yeah, like we need to figure this out this year, or else we're gonna have to keep going through this kind of search because, I mean,
This
it's
is
not
not
working
what you
out.
want.
There's still a couple options I think we're going to talk about that we might like, but I mean, all of the top tier guys we all wanted are not available.
Yeah.
Well, I think this might actually be exactly what Howie and Jeffrey Lurie want. Because with Nick Sirianni, an offensive coordinator is not going to step over the head coach to management and ownership. I mean, Nick Sirianni is a great buffer between ownership, between management, and then also between the rest of the coaching staff.
Maybe that's his job. Maybe that's what he's here to do.
That is the number one requirement of a Philadelphia Eagles head coach in this ownership. Like, look, ever since Chip Kelly, all right, moan and groan all you want. The worst thing you can do in the NovaCare complex is make Jeffrey Lurie feel like he doesn't run the show.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, that is the number one sin. Jeffrey Lurie wants to feel, and he should. He wants to feel like the owner. He wants to feel like he's running the show. He wants to feel like he was smart to hire you and you include him in the conversation. You have those weekly meetings with him to run things by him and all that stuff. Nick Sirianni is the perfect guy for that.
Yeah.
Doug Peterson wanted more control. They said, not going to happen. He was out. Nick Sirianni, he took it on the chin. He took the demotion in power. He sat up there with Howie Roseman 2 years ago and said, I'm going to be the head coach of the football team.
And he kind of did
everybody
it again
else
this year,
running everything
right?
else.
I mean,
that was supposed to be the way it went down. But obviously it hit the fan again and it didn't work out. So I think when you talk about the sustained, whether or not this is sustainable, I think this is exactly what the Eagles want. All right, fine. If we go to a Super Bowl every other year, if we're a Super Bowl contender every other year with the talent that Howie Roseman gets, that makes it pretty hard to mess up.
It's pretty
but
good.
If we make the playoffs every year, well, then fine. We'll be fine. We'll be fine. And if we become a offensive coordinator factory, then so be it. You know what I mean? Or a head coaching factory, so be it.
Right.
No, I agree with you.
have a
actually
lot
on
of
that.
buffers.
Yeah.
That's what I want from a head coach. I want the
buffers the
sustainability. But Mark, I think you do make a good point. And when you look at that end of year press conference with Howie, he kind of used that same tone of almost like acceptance when he said, yeah, like if we lose coaches because of how great we were, like we can live with that. And I do think they like the power dynamic of not having a coach question them even after 2 Super Bowl runs, which Nick has accepted, I think, at this point, that if those guys want to interject, he has accepted the power dynamic in this organization that I think a lot of coaches wouldn't. So, yeah, I guess it just depends on what they prioritize. And if that's what it is, Nick's probably not going anywhere.
Yeah.
All right.
But it does make you wonder,
go
though.
ahead.
It does make you wonder, like, okay, they've had second interviews, or maybe they haven't extended an offer to anybody. I'll agree with that. What are they looking for? Like, what guy, what offense are they looking for? Forget about the guy and the relationship that he'll have with the coach who has the relationship with the owner. What offense, what identity do they want to have as a football team with this new offensive play caller? Like, I'm still wondering what that is.
Want and accept is different. I think they want to be a pass-heavy, pass-first offense. I don't think they will become that. I think the reason they're talking to all these Miami Dolphins assistants is because they kind of want to have a Mike McDaniel offense like we do. But I don't know if that's possible at this point with the personnel you have, with the quarterback and the coach, and with the options left. So
Miami sucked.
I think they almost might. Yeah, but
you know what I mean? Like,
they want
seriously,
that,
okay, I want that offense.
right.
They
But the
stink.
best parts of it over the years is what this offense does need implemented, and I think they know that.
Yeah, and
But
that
I think
guy's
at this
in Los
point-
Angeles.
Yeah, I think the identity now, though, they're going to have to just lean into what the good parts of a Hurts Sirianni offense, because nobody left is going to completely change this thing schematically anymore. Those guys are gone.
All right, let's get into the candidates when we come back. We got to take a break here, but I want to get into that because we got to talk about Jim Bob Cooter. We got to talk about Sean Mannion and who the Eagles are favoring, because both being called in and have been called in for second interviews with the squad. So the search apparently is being narrowed down. We'll talk about that when we return. Who we're rooting for, if there is a rooting interest here, Cooter or Mannion. We'll talk about that when we come back. This is Locked On Eagles Squad Show on the Locked On Eagles YouTube channel. Like and subscribe. Back after this.
All righty, let me tell you about Rocket Money. Let's be real. Managing your finances, it can be overwhelming. Between subscriptions you forget about, bills that keep going up, and trying to figure out where all your money actually goes each month, it seems to drain. It's easy to feel like you're losing control. You're not just feeling that, you probably are. And who has time to track every transaction down and hunt down the hidden fees? Well, that's where Rocket Money comes in and does the work for you. The personal finance app that helps you take control. It finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills so you can grow your savings. Yeah, I was shocked paying for multiple subscription providers to watch content on your TV. I love how it tracks all your subscriptions, lets you cancel them right in the app, so you don't have to go through this nuanced process. No more hunting down customer service numbers. And the automatic transaction categorization is a game changer. You can finally see exactly where your money is going each month. You can set budgets and goals and get personalized insights and receive real-time alerts for large transactions, upcoming bills, and low balances. It even consolidates your checking, savings, loans, and investments into a single dashboard, so you can see the clear view right in front of your eyes of your complete financial picture. Let Rocket Money help you reach your financial goals faster by joining. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedonnfl. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedonnfl. Rocket Money, locked on. Rocketmoney.com, locked on NFL. All right, let me tell you about Gametime as well. Now, Gametime, there's nothing like being in the arena, being at the game, in the NBA, the crowd, the energy, the moment. Getting tickets, though, well, that part not really been that simple for many, many years. That's why Gametime has become the go-to app for scoring tickets fast without the hassle, and it puts the advantage back where it belongs with you, the fans. Now, you can pull up the Gametime app, pick an upcoming game, and you can have tickets locked in just minutes. You can love seeing the all price right up front. No surprise fees at checkout. Again, it's about knowing exactly what you're going to pay, where you're sitting, the whole thing. You can set the view from the seat before you buy the tickets to make the decision even easier. Zone deals they have out also, they stand out. Choose the section. Gametime will pick the seats, and you save. Great last-minute options, too, with NBA tickets showing up at solid prices right up until tip-off. Everything feels quick, intuitive, and stress-free from start to finish. So take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Gametime, and you can download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Again, that's code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today, and remember, it's gametime.com.
Welcome back, Locked On Eagles Squad Show, Locked On Eagles YouTube channel. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. Jim Bob Cooter, Sean Mannion. These are the two names that are apparently getting their second interviews, have gotten their second interviews with the Philadelphia Eagles for offensive coordinator. I mean, to me, this is a pretty easy one. If you're comparing resumes, there's no comparison. Sean Mannion started doing this yesterday. Jim Bob Cooter has been doing this for 10 years, 11 years. Only 41 years old, so still young. You asked the question, Harry, and I think it's the biggest question here is what are we asking for? If you're the Philadelphia Eagles, what are you asking for? Are you asking for a different system, a different style, completely new concepts? I think the number one thing you're asking for here is not necessarily a pass-heavy offense, not necessarily a run-heavy offense. I think you're asking to get the most you can possibly get out of what's going to be a 29-year-old Saquon Barkley, hopefully a bounce-back year when it comes to the offensive line play. And I think most importantly, above all else, you're asking to get the most out of Jalen Hurts. Whoever the next offensive coordinator is, whoever the next play caller is, they got to come in here and convince Jeffrey Lurie, Howie Roseman, and Nick Sirianni that they can get the most out of Jalen Hurts. It's not going to be style. It's what you can get after their quarterback. Get out of the quarterback from this point on and however long you're here in Philadelphia, Harry.
It's competence.
Yeah, and you know they have a little bit of history with Jim Bob Cooter. He was with the organization as a consultant, at least for part of the 2021 season. I don't really know, what the holdup would be. I mean, this guy's called plays. He's run offenses for multiple teams. He's worked with multiple different head coaches. If this is what it's down to, and I don't know that. I don't know if Nagy is still involved. In the wings, being an ex-Andy Reid guy, or I don't know. But if it's between Mannion and Jim Bob Cooter, yeah, I would take Cooter, obviously, because he's got more experience. He's actually called plays. Now, this Mannion may end up being one of these wunderkind guys in a couple of years. Who knows? Yeah. He's worked with the Packers, and he's a quarterbacks coach, and he played in the league, and he played quarterback in college for a big Pac-12 program back in the day. I get all that, but Cooter would be the guy out of these two, and it wouldn't even be close to me.
Does Jim Bob Cooter have a conflict for OTAs, Harry, with the Talladega race weekend, I wonder?
I don't know, but I drove past Daytona the other day, and I'm told my wife I'm going to the Daytona 500 in the next 2-3 years. I'm definitely going to do some NASCAR down in Florida.
That's great.
Skip the 500, go to the Firecracker 400, Harry.
Whatever.
You'll thank me later. It's at night.
Okay.
So it's not 150 degrees, but and I've been there. But yeah, Jim Bob Cooter, I'm intrigued by it. Like Harry said, because at this point I want competence, but I can't just dismiss Mannion because I'm not in that interview room. Every guy that calls plays in the NFL had to call them for the first time at some time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you got to just, whatever they do, they got to make the right hire.
Yeah.
And the question becomes is, especially through this elongated process this year, will they make the right hire? Do we have faith that they will? Now, ultimately, we find out in real time. But who the hell's got patience for that?
Right.
We got a whole offseason to talk about it and discuss it. They hired the wrong guy,
Yeah.
And then you come to find out maybe they did hire the right guy. So they got to get it right. That's what I'm most concerned about. And look, if you want competence and it, Jim Bob Cooter's got the resume because, like Harry said, he's still young, but he's done it a lot. So that's not going to overwhelm him. Mannion may be some kind of genius, but can he handle it on game day?
Yeah, I'd rather have
pressure.
I'd rather the laboratory of whether he can call plays or not have already existed somewhere else than, because like you said a little while ago, we're in a win now mode. We're not in an experimental mode. If you want that, just just give Louie his wish and have Sirianni come back and call the plays and see if he can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Louie, Cooter, you want Cooter or Mannion?
It sounds like it's going to be one of the two. Both have interviewed twice at this point. I like Jim Bob Cooter for a lot of the reasons you guys are laying out, but also because it's kind of the same logic as why they originally hired Nick Sirianni in the first place. They were trying to bring back a Frank Reich-style offense. The things that were the best of Carson Wentz in 2017, back to Carson to fix him. Of course, Carson demanded a trade, so that never happened. But that might be the same logic with bringing in Jim Bob Cooter is, when did Jalen Hurts look his best? With Shane Steichen. Who has JBC been working with in Indianapolis as his OC? Shane Steichen. You look at Daniel Jones this year, a reclamation project that worked out. They were 8th in passing when Daniel Jones went down. He does have the play calling experience as well, a pass-heavy background. So for those reasons, I like Jim Bob Cooter, but I will say when you look at Packers Twitter right now, they do not like the idea of Sean Mannion leaving. Apparently, he is held in high regard in that building. I talked to our Locked On Packers guy. They think he can be a future head coach. He has played this position, which would be really nice to help Jalen Hurts grow. And when you look at Green Bay, look what happened when Jordan Love went down. Like, Malik Willis came in, and they didn't really skip a beat. So I'm not saying that was all because of Mannion, but the quarterback development in Green Bay with Love and Malik have been really strong the last couple years. And I like that LaFleur offense that makes things easier on a quarterback. So I don't hate these two options, but kind of like why they were saying the play calling experience plus the Steichen background makes me lean a little bit more towards Jim Bob Cooter.
Yeah, the other part of it for me is I do think you're going to need an authoritative figure in there with Jalen Hurts.
Agreed.
Like
Mannion's not going to be that guy.
So here's the deal. I'm a guy that if there's smoke, there's fire. And you could be the biggest Jalen Hurts fan on the planet, but if there's that much smoke surrounding Jalen Hurts, I don't think it's all because people want to explain away Kevin Patullo's struggles as a play caller. So I do think that every quarterback kind of has their comfort zone. Jalen Hurts talked at the end of the year about having that home base, basically bread and butter type plays that you saw in 2024 and you didn't see any of this past season. If Mannion could be a guy to tap into that, then great. And maybe he is that guy that walks into the room and he is that wonder kid. All of a sudden he knows exactly what to call. He's an authoritative figure for being 33 years old, whatever it might be. And he can command that kind of respect. Some guys are just built that way. That's just how they're built. Maybe he's that guy. But Jim Bob Cooter is the guy that has the established resume. He's been doing it. He is able to identify with what Shane Steichen has done and what Shane Steichen did here in Philadelphia. He was here in Philadelphia for a minute. Shane Steichen thought enough of him to bring him into Indianapolis to be his offensive coordinator. So I think that certainly speaks volumes for a guy like Jim Bob Cooter. And then you just talk about a guy who has worked with other quarterbacks and can potentially maybe get the best out of Daniel Jones like he did. He was able to get back to a run game like he did when you talk about Jonathan Taylor getting back on track with the Indianapolis Colts last year. I mean, this is a thing that he brings to the table here and all that experience. But the thing that does, I think, speak volumes for Sean Mannion is that he doesn't get a second interview unless something was impressive. Like, it's easy to look at Jim Bob Cooter and say, I could see why this guy got a second interview. It's easy to say where maybe down the line Matt Nagy gets a second interview. But when a guy with literally 2 years barely of experience, an offensive assistant with the Packers to quarterbacks coach with the Packers, with that short a resume, when he's already getting that call back, it's easy to go negative and say, oh, well, the Eagles just want somebody to, blame next year or whatever. No, I don't think they're looking at it like that. I think they're looking at it as this guy could come in here and be exactly what we need as an OC and play caller. Now, full autonomy is not going to go to Sean Mannion. Full autonomy might go to Jim Bob Cooter with all the experience, but a guy just coming into the first time, he's not going to be running the show. He might call plays, but in terms of game plan, in terms of how much involvement Nick Sirianni might have, that's going to obviously grow with a guy like Sean Mannion, but he's not going to have it out of the gate. Still, though, if I'm answering the question, I want the experience. I don't want to be rolling the dice on a first-year play caller when the last two times I did that, it was an epic fail.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, though, with Mannion in Green Bay. If he doesn't get this job and goes back to Green Bay, he's still not going to be calling plays because it's LaFleur's offense and LaFleur's the play caller. So he's either going to have to get out of there and go somewhere else, and call the plays. Maybe that's Philly, maybe not. But the second interview could also be, and this is Jeffrey Lurie is like this. He's lining up. He knows he's going to have to hire a head coach again. Like, Sirianni's not going to be the guy, on into the future. We aren't the Pittsburgh Steelers that hold on to guys forever. Okay, so maybe he's just getting another, 3 hours with the guy to say, hey, man, this could be my next guy. Like, he goes and gets his experience calling plays somewhere else, and then in 3 years, I hire him as my head coach.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that could happen. That's not a reason I would hire an OC this year to say he's waiting in the wings. But you're right. Like, they could talk to him and say, we might need to talk to him again in 2027. So, and Jeffrey Lurie normally likes to be a year or two early on a coach rather than miss out on him when they're the top tier candidate. That's why I don't think people loved at the time of the hire, the Nick Sirianni hire, the Doug Peterson hire, even way back with Andy Reid. Those were never the number one coaches on the open
He was
market.
A quarterback's coach at Green Bay,
exactly.
like Mannion is.
Yeah, maybe he's bringing that back.
Yeah.
I don't hate either option, but Mark's right too. Like the play calling experience is so important, and they need somebody to push Jalen and also to make things easier. It's kind of a double-edged sword, but like he needs easier answers this year, quicker completions that can turn into big plays, and he needs to be pushed to develop more. So and again, who knows? That just because you're young doesn't mean you can't be that developer of talent that can't push guys. But Jim Bob Cooter is the older, coach with more experience working with a lot of great quarterbacks, like Matt Stafford, of course. So I think like if there's a tie, it goes to the experience because I think they're on a similar tier of like candidate.
Did Jim Bob's window at being a head coach in the NFL already close because of his name? Like nobody's ready, and I'm not talking about his last name. I'm talking about nobody wants their head coach to be Jim Bob.
Just nickname him JBC. It'll sound better.
The JBC. There you go. I don't know, but here's what is interesting to me when it comes to Jim Bob Cooter and his experience. Okay, this is what's fascinating. So if you remember, the Eagles played that game, and we've talked about this before, but to go back to it, Eagles played that Thanksgiving game in Detroit, and that was the same year that Joe Lombardi got fired as their offensive coordinator, and Jim Bob Cooter took over.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like a wonder kid all of a sudden. He was like 29, 30 years old. They ran it out. Louie, I think you reminded me of the name Eric Rowe.
Correct.
I think was a guy that they torched in that game. But, okay, so he goes through that with the Lions. He is a holdover with Matt Patricia when he took over, and normally that doesn't happen. You have your own guys that you want to – that doesn't happen. So he stays with Matt Patricia. But then after that, he doesn't get an OC job. He becomes the Jets running backs coach for 2 years. Then he comes to the Eagles for, I don't know, half a season maybe as a consultant. Then he goes to Jacksonville as a passing game coordinator, and I believe that was under Doug Peterson. Then, it was. And then he's all of a sudden back again to being the offensive coordinator. So he goes from an OC in 2018 after that season and then doesn't go back to it for another 5 years. So, like, if he's a wonder guy or if he knows everything, why was there that layoff? Wonder kid in Detroit, long layoff. Yeah. That, to me, is very interesting.
It is interesting, yeah.
I can't think of a guy like with a name like Jim Bob Cooter as being this like super innovative, crazy high IQ guy.
That's terrible. That's terrible that you're saying.
I mean, come on. But again, if those guys were the top tier offensive minds in the league, they would already be head coaches, right? So.
But I want a guy that goes in there and is confident.
Coots. Yeah, okay. James Robert Coots.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Like
all of a sudden he's a doctor.
Yeah.
No, but football's full of those guys that aren't there to be rocket scientists, but they're there to be a football guy.
Yeah. If he was an off wing from Flin Flon, you'd freaking love him. Oh, Jim Bob. I love this Jim Bob.
On the
we don't have Jim
line.
Bobs in hockey hack.
Yeah.
I don't even know what his well, his nickname would be easy.
Jimmy.
Coots.
He'd be a Jimmy.
It'd be, J. Robert. Not Pierre Robert. J.
Coot.
Robert.
He'd be a
Cooter.
Yeah.
Not a jock. He wouldn't be jock.
Jacques. Yeah, I like that.
Jock.
Yeah.
Jacques
Robert Cooter. There you go. Bang.
You cracked the code, Harry.
There it is.
See, sometimes we don't get to it takes a couple seconds to get to the gold, Mark.
Yeah.
But we always find the gold.
You go around the table is what you do there.
Yeah.
You keep building. You roll that snowball down the hill. All of a sudden you got a punchline. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love that.
Organic gold, Harry.
Yeah.
Stick caps to you, Harry.
Wait, what the hell are we talking about? Here's what you got. We've talked about maybe it's not an attractive gig to be the offensive coordinator of the Philadelphia Eagles. Why? Because of so many cooks in the kitchen. Well, how about this one? One of the cooks apparently had a knife taken away, and that man's name is Jeff Stoutland. Okay? Jeff Stoutland, according to Jeff McClain of Inquirer.com, Jeff Stoutland had his role as run game coordinator reduced, or just called it a flat-out demotion for his involvement in the run game. This past season, at some point, they were like, thanks, but no thanks, Jeff Stoutland. Other people are going to handle this. I don't know if that person was Kevin Petullo or Nick Sirianni or whoever. Then you also hear the rumor, I don't know where this is coming from, Vic Fangio is apparently contemplating retirement. I don't believe that to be true at all. But
Why?
if you're the new OC,
why
Because they wouldn't have let Christian Parker leave. They would have just
Exactly.
promoted him as defensive coordinator.
What if it's a late decision?
I think if you knew, I think you would know Fangio's thinking about it. And if that's the case, you don't let Parker out of the building.
I agree, but I don't think it's totally. So Adam Schefter was on yesterday on the Fanatic.
Yeah.
Okay.
On the way out the door,
Yeah.
he had some cryptic message. They were talking obviously about naming the OC. And he goes, well, we'll see where it is next week, and maybe something else.
Yeah.
Like this kind of cryptic message, and leaving everybody to wonder. Is it AJ Brown? Is Lane Johnson retiring?
It could be Lane Johnson retiring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Kincaid
Or
said
AJ
he thought
requesting a trade.
it's about a new building and with a dome that they're built. I don't know what it's about, but he's got a lot of people guessing about it because we know he's plugged into Howie and the Eagles.
And that was the point.
And that was the point.
Yeah.
But this is also the guy that a week ago was like, he was asked about AJ Brown. He's like, I'm not even following that. Like, I'm not worried. It's like, it's like, okay, ownership hasn't gotten to that message for you yet. But, and now he's being very flippant in the way, well, Sirianni will just call plays. Like I can't believe you guys didn't think of that. We did. We just woke up screaming when we did.
Yeah. Exactly.
Julian Lurie is going to call plays. That's always going to happen. Julian Lurie is going to call plays.
Nice.
I wonder if Lane Johnson's having some sort of procedure, an investigative one, to see how much damage is there from the Liz Frank. I do wonder about that because that might be one of those things. Like we go, he ain't going to go out like that. But if he also has got a lot of pride. If he knows that he can't perform, he may go out like that.
Yeah.
Which obviously be catastrophic.
Well, he's going to Canton regardless someday.
Yeah. Well, here's what I'll say that's interesting.
Harry? Not like Belichick. He's going first ballot.
Yeah.
Here's something I could tell you that I do find interesting regarding the Lane Johnson, and I would think it's 1,000 times more Lane Johnson than it is anything with Vic Fangio. And yes, it is mainly because of Christian Parker. Here's what's wild to me. I know that Jason Kelce did not like after the Tampa Bay Buccaneers lost in the playoffs 2 years ago. I know that or 3 years ago. I know that he did not like Adam Schefter just going with that and saying he's retiring. Kind of stealing thunder a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I know Jason Kelce
player announced that,
exactly. So on that note, that's why I would think he would not say it about Lane Johnson, maybe learning a lesson in a way about not breaking that news in front of a player, in front or giving a player an opportunity.
That's valid because I think that's really unfair to the player.
Absolutely.
Guys like Kelce that have earned the right to notify the fan base and everyone publicly on his timeline. Mm-hmm. I think that's the honorable thing to do. Like there's some things you don't break just to break.
Right.
You don't need to be first on this. Let the player break that.
Yeah.
Because it is not of game consequence. And I would hope that's not the case. And I don't even like the cryptic kind of we'll see because now it makes people speculate about that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
I don't think it's Fangio.
Yeah.
Let's just get that out of the way.
I think it's AJ Brown. I think and they can't trade him until March, but he can request a trade before March. And I think they need to know soon what his plan is. I feel like if they haven't already sat down with him, Howie Roseman, Nick Sirianni, Jeffrey Lurie need to sit down with AJ Brown, and maybe that's what's coming as AJ decides he wants to go. It's up to him, right? I think the Eagles, if he wants to stay, they're not going to trade him, and if he wants to leave, I think they will. They're not going to hold him hostage. So I think you guys are right about the Lane Johnson thing, so that's probably not it. Again, I can't get over them letting Christian Parker
too.
Go to Dallas if they know Fangio is going to retire. So I don't know what else it would be. It's not going to be a Jordan Davis extension or I don't know.
I think it's AJ Brown too because I think a lot of these offensive coordinator conversations and interview process, if you're the OC coming in, you're saying, do I have AJ Brown?
Right. Or am I building an offense around Devontae Smith? Yeah, I mean, that's a huge question.
If AJ leaves, are we replacing him with a high-end number one, or are we drafting a guy?
Well, they have that guy on the roster already. His number is 6.
Yeah, but
I think he's a top 10 receiver if he's given a chance. When the other receiver's not complaining all year.
Do I have Devontae Smith and Jahad Dotson with no Dallas guy?
No, how we'd go?
No, they have to invest another significant resource in receiver for sure. Yeah.
Well, who is that? Is that the Jordan, the guy out of Dallas, who's the top receiver available?
Oh, Pickens.
Pickens?
If you didn't want to deal with A.J. Brown, I got
You're
you.
not
don't
going
wanna
to
deal with
Pickens. No. Yeah. I
It's
love
going
him
to be
as a
Chip
player,
Kelly
but he's
as
a
the
lot.
offensive coordinator. It's going to be
He's a
Chip Kelly as the
handful.
offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Doug Peterson.
But here's one thing that I think we could put more stock into, and it's a direct report. It's not cryptic at all. It is that Jeff Stoutland was asked to, hey, do less kind of thing.
Yeah, coach the offensive line and coach the offensive line only again.
We could tell that happened. We could tell on the field.
How was that a good idea? Yeah, how was that a good idea, though? How was that a good idea? When
Like,
you're
hey,
talking
we
about
had the
most
greatest
experienced guy?
rushing season in the history of the NFL. We should take that guy's responsibilities away. So that I can't. When I heard that report, I haven't really touched on it much because I can't understand the logic. Is it, hey, we just need you to focus on getting this offensive line back on track? But doesn't that directly
You didn't know it
correlate
was
with
off
being the
track
run
before
game
the
coordinator?
season.
What does that even mean? I don't understand.
And we didn't know it was off track before the season.
And by the way, as of today, right now, actually, I checked it before the show. Jeff Stoutland on the Eagles' official website is still run game coordinator and offensive line coach.
Yeah.
But
And
apparently he was
that
asked to
whole
do that.
thing might be like, hey, he's not getting a reduction in pay, which is what they gave him most likely when they gave him that title, because it was an excuse to keep him, a way to keep him, and a way to give him more money. So I'm not feeling bad about that for him because it's probably a thing off his plate that, frankly, he might not even want anymore. So he can focus on the offensive line, which, but to be honest, was less than desirable. This might have been the worst season of Stoutland University that we've seen since it was raised from a state college to a university. Okay, so go back and focus on that. I'm fine with that. Yes. And maybe this new OC, whoever it is, would rather do their own run game coordinating or pick their own run game coordinator anyway.
It's just confusing because it's like the biggest issue with the Eagles' offensive line. Pass protection-wise, their numbers weren't bad this year. The biggest issue with the Eagles' offensive line was the run game. So why are we taking the best offensive line coach in football's responsibilities with the run game away? Was he requesting that, or was this during the season and they felt they needed a switch up? It just logistically, I don't.
We need to know the
I
time.
don't get it.
No. Well, there wasn't a lot of run game to coordinate this past season, to be honest.
Well, it was.
If it came out that Petula
Second
was
and 8
in charge
in the
of it,
middle
that
high.
makes all the sense in the world.
They do have some developing to do because you do have some long-term considerations to deal with, whether that's obviously Lane Johnson or the right guard spot or left guard with the constant injuries over there, and to get Cam Jurgens moving in the right direction again, you know, and Mailata for that matter. So maybe those things are more important. I don't think he's losing any money. I agree. I think they move these titles around to keep guys because titles help you just move forward as in your.
You can't say anybody on the offensive line had a good year.
No,
you really can't.
No,
now, it might have been due to a lot of injuries, you know, but nobody really played well.
Yeah, I mean Dickerson was beyond banged up this year, right? Like, I mean, imagine he still feels like crap.
I'd love to see Mekhi Becton back in an Eagles uniform.
Same.
He's available.
Sounds like the Chargers are going to cut him.
He is
so.
He's available. Yeah.
All in on that. All in on that.
Let's party. All right, when we come back, I want to get a little bit more into we haven't talked about the Super Bowl odds for the Philadelphia Eagles next year. Jason, I remember you mentioning this in our post-show meeting, if you want to call it that, on Tuesday.
The way too early odds.
The way too early odds. Certainly, I want to get into that because, hey, if you're an offensive coordinator, you don't even know who's going to be on the offense, and the Eagles got pretty good odds. So we'll talk about that. Also, Bill Belichick, ladies and gentlemen. We got to get into that conversation. We got to stay or go for you. And also, Frank Reich, actually, New York Jets have interest. I want to get into that as well. All right, we're going to get into all that more when we come back. This is Locked On Eagles Squad Show on the Locked On Eagles YouTube channel. Make sure you guys like and subscribe because our man Louie DiBiase has it covered each and every day with brand new, fresh content when it comes to your Eagles content. Be back after this. I got a message for you about Indeed. This is Locked On Eagles Squad Show. And hey, let's talk about Indeed, all right? You guys got to get a job, right? You need a job, need a gig, need something to do? Indeed's got you covered. because that's how you get your stuff pushed to the front. Eagles should be using this when you think about it. If you ever hired someone, you want to look good on paper, right? It wasn't about the right fit necessarily. It was about what they could do and maybe a sprinkling of that right fit. Hiring Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other sites. Indeed sponsored jobs. Put your post at the top of the page and help you reach the right candidates faster. If I needed to hire someone for the show, for instance, I'd go straight to Indeed and be very specific about what I need. Maybe this is what Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie are using right now. Real experience, not just some buzzword on a resume. Instead of struggling to get your job seen, Indeed sponsored job helps you list your job so it stands out. Spend more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with less stress, less time, and more results using Indeed sponsored jobs. Listeners of this show and viewers get $75 sponsored job credit to help you give your job the premium placement it deserves at Indeed.com/LockedOnNFL. That's Indeed.com/LockedOnNFL. Just go to Indeed.com/LockedOnNFL right now and support the show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast, Locked On Eagle Squad Show. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, do it the right way with Indeed. Super Bowl odds. Jason, do you have them in front of you there when it comes to the Eagles for next season and what they could be doing in terms of hunting for a Super Bowl?
Yeah. Well, these came out the other day, right at the end of the program, from our good friend, as referenced earlier, Jimmy Shapiro. And the Eagle, I was a little surprised. These are obviously way early. And I think these projections a lot of times are based on kind of what they think a team is capable of doing in an offseason. And we know how he's capable of quite a bit. So who do you think the number one team is next year? Best odds. They've got a new coach, I'll tell you that.
They have a new coach, you said?
Yeah, it is Buffalo.
Buffalo, okay.
9-1. The Rams and the Seahawks are both at 10-1.
Interesting.
And your team, the Philadelphia Eagles, are at 12-1 by themselves. Detroit and Green Bay and Kansas City and New England are 14-1. Ravens, Chargers, 49ers are at 16-1.
Okay.
They haven't hired an OC yet.
Right.
They got the
and I thought
third
Jalen
best
Hurts
odds.
sucked. I thought Jalen Hurts sucked. Well, that's crazy.
But
And,
they know the
yeah.
Eagles are going to be aggressive.
And
Vegas-
A.J. Brown going to be here?
I don't
Lane
know.
Johnson going to be here?
That's kind of indicative that Vegas maybe thinks that either he will or they will replace him in fine form.
I also think
Saquon
those other
Barkley's gonna
teams
be
have
29.
problems too, though. I mean, I think we get caught up in this Eagles world so much. If you look at Detroit and you look at, there's a lot of questions with what's going on there, and New England, I think, is due to regress. Chicago probably too, and so I don't know. I don't think it's that crazy because these are all question marks, but very well too. What could happen is that, like every other year, when they hire a new offensive coordinator from outside of the organization, they bounce back. If maybe Landon Dickerson and Cam Jurgens just need to get healthy, maybe A.J. Brown is back and Lane Johnson doesn't retire. So, I mean, these are all question marks, but it's not like they're guarantees this offense is going to just see this complete reset.
Yeah.
It's all
You're going to go back
but
to where it was in 2024, and Saquon's going to be a beast and all of that, right?
It could easily happen. I mean,
New England could
and
be
they
a
still have
product
one of the top three defense in football. So
New England could be a product of their schedule and a broken ankle.
Just like Washington last year.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Well, so talking about this Eagles offense, because to go back to just the idea of an offensive coordinator 07, how much confidence you can have. Here's what's so incredible about that 2024 season. I don't really think a lot changed, except the Eagles that season had a bazooka, essentially.
The thing they were great at got even better. Yeah.
Yeah, and everybody else had like a pocket knife. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like they had the most dominant force in the NFL that season. Saquon Barkley behind,
and the tush push.
And the tush push, yeah, certainly.
First and 8 every time.
Yeah.
But good Lord, what they were able to do with that offensive line and Saquon Barkley running behind it. I mean, it's literally historic is what it is. So anytime you found the Rams game in the regular season, perfect example. You got nothing going offensively in that first half. Then all of a sudden it was like, all right, flip the protective switch off and then hit the red button, activate Saquon Barkley, game over. Like that's like for that one great year, even judging Kellen Moore, yeah, you could look pretty brilliant when you know you have a dominant force and you just rode that. Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni could do what they wanted to do in the passing game simply because they knew that they had a fail-safe. They didn't have to take risks. They didn't have to throw into heavy coverage. They knew that if they saw anything they didn't like, all right, well, we'll just get 5 yards here for Saquon and we're good. Like
and a lot of home runs too.
Yeah, right. They could swing for the fences and they connected on a lot of them.
Yeah, running the ball.
Yeah, so
that keeps the defense off balance.
Yeah, I'd love to say you could go back to that, but I don't know if the offensive line can get back to that level. Saquon Barkley, again, going to be 29 years old.
Yeah.
Running back position, heavy years with the Giants, 482 touches 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. I do want to believe that 482 touches, regular season, postseason combined for Saquon Barkley last year had a lot to do with the down year that he had this year. Still, in under 17 games, he had 1,000 yards. But I want to believe that had something to do with it because that means that, okay, a year removed from it, he'll be better. He'll be back to that kind of level. But I don't know how much I could buy into that when you're talking about a running back who's another year older.
Well, I think the biggest reason for his struggles were play design and the offensive line and predictability. Yeah, I mean, they were so predictable on offense. I mean, they would just run the ball in 2nd and 8 right in the middle and go
and their
nowhere.
Quarterback wouldn't run either, so there was no chance of
I mean, I put less of the statistical differences between 24 and 25 of Saquon Barkley on him than I do his surroundings. You know, the offensive line was just – I mean, you remember in the second half of those games in 24, in the second half of the season in particular, I mean, they would come out in the third quarter.
Grind it up.
Yeah, they 13-minute drives.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think – I mean, that's the greatest rushing season ever, I think, for a football team. I don't think they're getting back to that. But I think there's a middle ground between 2025 and 2024. You can get back to what you were in 2022 and 2023 and be a top 10 consistent rushing attack. That's not the greatest of all time, but I think there's still a scenario that if Hurts gets back to running more, Lane comes back, Cam Jurgens and Dickerson are healthy, that you can get there. I don't think Saquon's going to drop off the face of the earth in 2026. But what you do need, if it's not going to be historically great running the football, is like in 2022 and 2023, your passing attack, it does have to significantly improve. Even though they were turning the ball over, even the first half of 2023, I mean, Marc has said it a few times on our shows, like Brian Johnson's offense was still like top 10 in most categories, and passing the football, they were still getting those explosives, and Jalen was winning games throwing 30-plus times. So that's why I think even this year it's all the more important to just figure out easier answers in the passing game, because I don't think it's going to go back to what it was in 2024 ever. But it can get back to 23 or 22. But again, that balancing out, that leveling out requires an upgrade in passing too, though. So
yeah, the offensive line has to come back together, raise the running game back up to a higher level. Not like we can't set the benchmark as 2024 because that was special. That's once in a lifetime. That's got to come up a little bit. The passing game has got to evolve and come up a little bit. That'll help as well, the running game. And the running game will also help the passing game, and they'll be more effective and be less predictable and more creative in play calling.
And the quarterback needs to get back to running the football a little bit.
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay?
Yeah, I agree. And stop being so safe. Yeah. I mean, to have 2 games where he didn't have a completion in the second half is mind-boggling.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's mind-boggling.
Mm-hmm. And people will blame that 100% on Patullo. Like
it's not,
but you can to not have a complete. Like, I can understand being like 2 for 9. Or
by the way,
that
happened multiple times last year because didn't he not throw a single completion?
I think it was twice.
Was it Tampa or Denver?
Tampa and Dallas.
Tampa, Buffalo.
Denver. Oh, was it Buffalo?
Tampa and Buffalo. Yeah. Not great, to say the absolute least. Real quick before we take this break, Bill Belichick. Is everyone here voting for Bill Belichick to be a first ballot Hall of Famer? Yay or nay?
Yay. Yeah.
Well, I mean, let's remind everybody, because everybody's a prisoner of the moment today. And, young guys may not remember this, but, Joe Gibbs, who to me is a better head coach than Bill Belichick, didn't get in on his first ballot. Neither did Bill Parcells, who I believe is as good or better than a coach than Bill Belichick. So, everybody needs to calm down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gibbs won a couple Super
Are you
Bowls
voting
with
for him or
multiple
not,
different
Harry?
Quarterbacks.
Well, it's not whether I'd vote for him or not. He's a Hall of Fame coach. He's going to get in. He deserves to get in. But the fact that he didn't get in on the first ballot, everybody's like, oh, it's robbery.
It's because of the why, though. It's the reason he didn't get in. If he's not a first ballot head coach, I don't know who the hell is.
Well,
I mean, I know he
Lombardi,
cheated.
the guy who's the trophy's named after, didn't get in on the
Yeah.
first ballot either.
Well, that's
But the reason Belichick didn't get in is because of Spygate, and I think even on a deeper level, it's because
And
of the way
plus he's
he
a
treated
jerk.
he treated the media like
Yeah.
garbage for 20
cares,
years.
though.
I'm sorry,
Well,
though.
that's the way the media is.
Well, then
Yeah.
we need to
Take
have a new
offense to
process
that.
for how the Hall
Damn
of Fame
media.
is selected, because it's ridiculous, I think.
Yeah.
And I'm not a Belichick guy. I think he was
Are
carried
you
by
voting
Brady a lot.
for him or not, Harry?
I'd vote for him.
Okay.
I'd vote for him.
On this,
Yeah,
on the first ballot. On the
Yeah,
first ballot.
sure.
Okay.
Put it
I
on.
put him in too.
Put him in.
I put him in too because I don't care that he's a jerk to the media. Or
I don't
anything
care
like that.
either. I'm a
Yeah.
jerk.
Luigi?
Yeah, I'm voting for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Not proud of it, but here I am.
I mean, he cheated, but if the cheating was the only reason they won all those titles, it would be different. And I hate that he cheated, and it's annoying. But when they didn't cheat, they won Super Bowls too. Like, are we going to do this with Tom Brady too? Is Tom Brady not going to be a first ballot because of
I'm never
Deflategate?
voting for him.
Yeah.
Never
you
getting
could,
in.
You could
All right,
stack
that's
injured reserve back in the day when Bill Walsh and Joe Gibbs were winning Super Bowls too. So there's different stuff, in every era. It's
When-
not
when,
cheating, but today it would be considered cheating.
When Tom Brady lifts up his Hall of Fame bust, I want Brandon Graham to come out of nowhere and smack it out of his hands.
Drill him,
Now, the last thing here is
Bigger issue with Brady, by the way,
oh.
is that he's an owner and he's calling games.
Yeah.
son of a that.
Yeah. But are they going to have are they going to do the bust with the Botox or pre-Botox Brady? Like, that's the question I have.
The bust needs to be his rookie year
Yeah, is it
profile picture.
the combine picture?
The combine picture.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what
Yeah,
it
him
needs to
just.
be.
It shouldn't even be a bust. It just be the whole statue of him standing awkwardly like that. In his,
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about the
shirtless.
one.
Shirtless. Yeah.
maybe
Like,
don't do
like
that.
the before P90X and the
Yes.
after P90X.
Yeah.
By the way, Joe Gibbs, very underrated. I like that you
Joe
said
Gibbs
that,
to me is one of the best, if not the best coach ever.
Yeah, that's a good lesson for the kids as well.
Good
Look up,
NASCAR guy
Joe
too,
Gibbs.
Harry.
Yeah,
Joe
not bad
Gibbs
at that.
racing.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
won at everything.
Yep. He was just a winner.
3 Super
right,
Bowls
when we
with
co-
3 different quarterbacks. Neither of them were great.
Nope.
Not any of the 3.
All right. We got to stay or go, and one more fallout from the offensive coordinator position. We'll talk about that when we return. Louie's going to tell you about TurboTax coming up. This is Locked On Eagles Squad Show.
Today's episode of the Locked On Eagles Squad Show is brought to you by TurboTax. Tax season doesn't have to take over your life. This year, TurboTax is making it easier than ever to just hand things off and move on with your day. With TurboTax full service, you can have your taxes done for you by a trusted local expert, start to finish, without the stress or guesswork. Instead of spending hours trying to figure out forms, you can meet with a local TurboTax expert in person, or you can even connect online. They handle everything from W-2s to self-employed forms and work to get you every deduction. You can upload your documents, go about your day, and get updates right in the TurboTax app. For a limited time, you can have your taxes done by a local TurboTax expert for just $150 all in if a TurboTax expert didn't file it for you last year. Just file by February 28th. Take taxes off your plate and get back to your life. Visit turbotax.com/local to book your appointment today.
I have TurboTax. His name is Jay Lipschutz and has been doing my taxes since the early 90s.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, and he's an Ambler guy. He grew up in lived around Ambler.
I got a guy named Norm that does my taxes. That
Norm?
sounds right, like the right
Guy
first
named
name.
Norm
for a tax
Greenbaum?
guy.
What
Yeah.
do we got here?
A guy named Norm. You got a guy named. You make him sound like he does taxes out of the back of a van.
I was
Yes.
There you go.
Yes.
He does it for the love of the game.
Do they have taxes in Buffalo?
Yes,
They actually
do.
charge you to live in Buffalo? They pay you to live there?
Unbelievably, yeah.
I feel like we're living in
yeah.
Buffalo right now. You kidding me?
Yeah.
Tundra. Harry, I'm even a little annoyed by the weather.
Good. Good.
Speaking of Buffalo, Frank Reich played in Buffalo, and now
Yeah.
Frank Reich could be the offensive. This is the deepest tie-in I've ever gone.
Strong segue.
Frank Reich could be, could be offensive coordinator with the New York Jets. So Frank Reich could return to play calling, gentlemen, and not even give the Eagles a sniff.
Wow.
Also dealing with New York, another tie-in.
Wow.
Todd Monken not becoming the offensive coordinator of the Giants following John Harbaugh. So that position is open as well and could mess with the Eagles down the line. I feel like I'm on crazy pills. What
it
is
sounds like
happening?
Charlie Weiss Jr. is interested in that job with Dart, and he told the Eagles he was going to stay in college. So that's not a great look.
Yeah. But the Eagle fans told me he wasn't a serious candidate. Yeah, okay.
He absolutely was.
All right. Yeah, whatever you want to believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know what I'm more offended at, Mark. The fact that Frank Reich, they don't want to interview Frank Reich, or he doesn't want to be interviewed. I don't know what the story is, and he may end up going to the Jets and not the Eagles and make a return, or the fact that Brian Daboll chose to go to Nashville to coach Cam Ward and coach for the stinking Titans.
Yep.
That is offensive to me.
And he coached with Sirianni before.
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe
And
that's
Jalen
why,
Hurts.
Harry.
Yeah, maybe.
He's also probably got like a 5-year leash in Tennessee. I mean, anything
No pressure.
better than last year is an
Yeah,
improvement.
and what is he not going to get a head coaching interview next year?
Right.
I think he's going to get a head coaching interview next year.
When the third of the league's coaching jobs
all
are
right.
open again.
We'll save stay. Yeah, we'll stay. Well, we'll do a stay or go next time. This is Locked On Eagles Squad Show. Make sure you guys are liking and subscribing to all things Locked On Eagles Squad Show. Louie DiBiase has you covered also each and every day for Locked On Eagles content on the Locked On Eagles YouTube channel right here. So make sure you guys like and subscribe. For Jason Martinez, Louie DiBiase, Harry Mays, I'm Marc Farzetta. Have a wonderful rest of your day. And you know what? Through the weekend, happy hunting for the Eagles and whoever their next OC is going to be. I will say this, February 5th is when they hired Kellen Moore. So as far as I'm concerned, that's the deadline for moi. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Catch you guys next week. Bye. And that's the wrong button. This is the right one. That'll be edited out.
Hopefully not.